You are Locked On Yankees, your daily New York Yankees podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Yankees, which is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making us your first listen every day. I'm Stacey Gotsoulias. We're live. We're doing this live. Thank you for joining me. We have a lot to talk about. We're going to recap the series against Arizona and the fact that the Yankees finished their 7-game road trip 6-1. So how are we all doing tonight? I see you guys in the comments. Very exciting. Today's game was annoying though. A couple of instances there where I wasn't sure if they were actually going to pull that off. But yeah, yes, I agree with this. Very good way to start the season, especially a 7-game road trip. I don't think anyone expected that. So what do we think the big story of the game today was? Was it Carlos Rodon lasting a little longer than he normally does? Is it Aaron Judge finally getting extra base hits, including a home run? I think it's both. Let's talk about Judge. He finally got that monkey off his back. He finally got his first home run of the season. And it was an Aaron Judge Oppo Field special. He looked better at the plate, and yes, we're going to talk about that because he's just been amazing. He's been amazing. Yes, very similar to that, but that was a little more insane. That game was legit. That's one of those all-time crazy games where you remember where you were standing when certain plays happened. I don't feel like that game today was at the point where the Twins game was, but yeah. The thing that cracks me up about Judge is the fact that if you're not online as much as I am, you probably didn't see this, but there was a tweet from someone that other people were putting out, quote tweeting and basically dunking on the person for good reason, because the person suggested that Aaron Judge go to the minors for a week and work things out. What do you guys think of that? Because I think that's ridiculous. I've been saying it on the show all week. He had those days off where he wasn't swinging the bat. He was a little bit behind everyone else, and he was eventually going to wake up. And he picked Wednesday to wake up. I just think it's funny that someone suggested that Aaron Judge gets sent to the minors. And he was earnest about it. This wasn't a jokey tweet. He was actually serious about it, which I thought was the funniest thing ever. And no, I will not say who tweeted it. I don't even remember his screen name, so I don't want to. I mean, it's embarrassing enough that he suggested that the Yankees send Judge down to the minors because he's not hitting in the first week of the season. Does anyone else remember how slow Judge started in 2022? He didn't hit a home run for the first how many games, and then he finished with 62. So I don't know what we're worried about. It's just silly. I'm going to answer some of your questions too while I do this. So it'll be kind of like a live stream / show. So I'm going to try and get through some stuff. I'm going to have to do my ad reads and make this like a show. So the question is for the audio listeners who will be listening to this later, do you think Ian Hamilton needs to be the new closer? Okay, I'm not going to blame Holmes for everything that happened, because that first inning that he pitched, that was the defense's fault. They should have gotten out of that inning without incident. And I just don't understand the second inning of Holmes. It felt like it was pushing their luck and, having to bring in Caleb Ferguson. Although I keep saying those guys, Loaizaga looked great. Ian Hamilton looked incredible. Caleb Ferguson got out of that jam. And, the bullpen has a chance to be really, really good. And like I said, Holmes, that first inning was not his fault. Second inning, yes, but not the first inning. I'm not going to blame him for that. He did everything you needed him to do. You need him to induce ground balls. That's what he does. That's what he did. And there were just a couple of bad plays. This says, it feels like for every gem the infield defense pulls off, they make a crucial error. Yeah, because there were some really good plays. Volpe looked really strong in the beginning of the game. And, and then just occasionally you have these plays where you're just sitting there going, how did that even happen? What is going on right now? Robbie Garn says, woohoo, did anyone think we'd be 6-1 against the Astros and the defending NL champs? No. And if anyone says that, they're lying. You're all lying. There's no way that you thought that the Yankees were going to march into Houston and sweep in 4 games. And I know they swept in 3 games in September, but no. Ferguson also has closing experience when he was in LA. How about a Nasty Boys like tandem for our team? Cardiac Clay, Nick Birdie, and Caleb Ferguson. Yeah, that could be something. But there are a bunch of guys who could do it. And yes, thank you for joining me from the beginning of the show. Like I said, there are a bunch of guys who could close. You don't have to be married to one guy closing. I know Boone likes to be, but I remember last year talking about them saying that it was going to be a bullpen by committee. And I feel like you could do that this year because there are at least 3 guys who can close with no issues, including actually 4, including Holmes. But Ian Hamilton can close. Caleb Ferguson can close. Jonathan Loizaga, if he's healthy. I mean, his 2-seamer is looking amazing today. And you know what? Even Birdie could probably close too. So, the game was a nail biter, and I was happy they pulled it off because 6-1 is better than 5-2. Not that 5-2 would have been a perfectly fine road trip. It just would have been annoying if they lost the game the way it looked like they were going to be losing that game. So, they ended the trip on a high note. We're going to talk more about that in segment 2. Let me answer more questions. Oh, Sunil, I did not come up with this name. David Locke, who runs the network, came up with Locked On, the Locked On brand, which is pretty cool because it's the perfect last name for a podcast network, right? This isn't a bad option either. I mean, they're stretching him out to be a starter, but he has the stuff to be a closer. He throws hard enough to be a closer. He throws hard enough to be a starter, let's be real, but he really does. Yeah. I mean, like I said, there are a number of guys, there are a number of options. So, don't be worried about the bullpen. Be worried about the rotation, which we will talk about in segment 2. But before we get to segment 2, let me try and do this. Since I'm doing this live, it's not that easy for me to hit all the buttons and stuff because I have 2 different computers going on, so bear with me. Before we get to segment 2, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button on our videos, hit the notifications so you know when we our videos premiere and if I decide to go live. Also, reply to the pinned comment on our videos Monday through Thursday if you want your questions answered for Fan Mail Friday. Or you can join the Locked On Yankees Insiders Club. There's a link in the description. You'll get texts from me, and you can text me questions. I let you know all about stuff that's happening. If there are roster moves, sometimes I text out the lineup, that sort of thing. So coming up next, we're going to talk about Carlos Rodon and his performance against the Diamondbacks. Okay, Prize Picks, #1 fantasy sports app in America with more than 3 million members. It's the easiest and most exciting way to get in on the action while you watch your favorite sports and players. You just pick more or less on 2 or more player stats and watch the winnings roll in. Spring training is over. The season is officially underway, so don't miss your chance to add your favorite players from the Diamond in your Prize Pick entries. Now, on Tuesday, I picked Zach Gallen to get more than 5.5 strikeouts, and he got 6, so I won that pick. But I also picked Nestor Cortez to get more than 3.5, and he only got 2. So you win some and you lose some. As for the NBA, you can get in on the playoff action with Prize Picks and win up to 100 times your money as you and the world's best players take the game to a new level during the postseason. That starts soon. So download the app today and enter code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, that's code LOCKEDONMLB. It's all one word, all lowercase letters, and you get that first deposit match up to $100. Join Prize Picks today. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. Welcome back to the show. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN all day on your TV? And do you have to turn down the volume with all that shouting? Make the switch to Locked On Sports today, which is a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports today brings you can't miss analysis, opinions, and news. It's streaming 24/7 on YouTube, and it's also on the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And remember, you can catch the Yankees hometown broadcast on SiriusXM. Just download the SiriusXM app, search the word Yankees, and you can listen to John and Susan. How exciting. So let's talk about Carlos Rodon. Let me go back to your comments. Okay. Yes. RC Cola says partly sunny and in the 50s for Friday's home opener is acceptable in their opinion, and they will be there. Good for you. I will not be at the home opener, but I will be at a game soon. I'm very excited because I didn't get to go to a game in 2023. It was the first time since 1982 that I hadn't gone to a game. So it was very odd not going to Yankee Stadium at all. So Carlos Rodon, 95 pitches, and he threw that cutter only 10 times this time out of 95. He threw more in his last start. 59 four-seam fastballs, 17 sliders, 10 cutters, 5 changeups, 4 curveballs. He was fine. He was fine. He was better than he was in his previous start. He was better than he was in 2023. You know, there's some stuff to work on still. The home run that he gave up, that kid just really got it. Blaze Anderson. Is that not the best name ever? It doesn't really sound like, I don't know. It feels like it should be maybe like a woman movie star from like the 50s. Blaze Anderson. Kind of cool. So I'm not going to blame him for that. But he has gotten some bad luck, Rodon. You know, making good pitches, guys just getting good swings on them. I'm encouraged by Rodon. More than I'm encouraged by Nestor, which we'll get into in a second. So I wasn't displeased with Rodon's start. I mean, it could have been better, but it also could have been worse. So at least he's improving. He's stretching it out. You know, he's lasting longer. And, you know, 2 no decisions is better than 2 losses. So, right? I mean, so yeah. And velocity-wise, he was up on everything, actually. Okay, so that's good. His max on his four-seam was 98.1. His average is up to 95.3 for the year. And the average today was 96.1 on that four-seamer. The cutter was up a little bit from his last start. The year average is up to 92.3 on that cutter. So all good things for Carlos Rodon. I mean, again, was it perfect? No, but better than the past and better than his previous start. Now, as for the top pitch velocities for the game, because I love talking about that stuff, Jonathan Loaisiga had the highest pitch, 98.8. He also hit 98.6, 98.4, and Clay Holmes hit 98.2 twice. Merrill Kelly led the game with 10 swings and misses. Ian Hamilton had 7 in his outing there, and Rodon had 7. Caleb Ferguson had 2. Clay Holmes had 2. So lots of stuff there. Aaron Judge, his home run was 396. Kettle Marte, 433. That was a bomb. that he hit. And good for him getting his 1,000th hit. That's exciting. You always like to see, well, you don't like to see a milestone against your own team, but it's nice to see a guy hit a milestone like that. So yeah, all good things for Rodon, but Nestor. We got to talk about Nestor because you can't have the guy who's your de facto number one starter just because your number one starter is hurt, not be able to escape the first inning without giving up runs. You just can't have it. It can't happen. So he needs to figure things out. We're going to look at his numbers. Also from Baseball Savant, which is where I get all this information. They have everything on that page, and I love looking at this stuff. So 88 pitches in the start. His velocity was down on everything a little bit, but actually not a little bit. His four-seam fastball was down almost a full mile per hour from opening day to Tuesday. So that's a little concerning for Nestor because he doesn't throw that hard to begin with. So if he's losing velocity, that can't be a good thing. Yeah, Joe Malone says Nestor was my biggest worry in this rotation, and I am mad to be right. Yeah, I'm not happy about it either because he was just so good in 2022, but it feels like an outlier. And it felt like an outlier when it happened too. It just felt like one of those magical years that he was never going to replicate. And he doesn't need to replicate 2022, but he just needs to be better than what he's doing right now. So yeah, I agree with you on that. I just saw something about Volpe. Is anyone concerned about the throwing errors Volpe has so far? I can't find online how many he has, but I think it's about 3. Am I wrong? It's a little concerning, but for every bad throw that he makes like 3 good plays. I'm not worried about Volpe in the field at all. There were some kind of iffy plays today, but I'm not really that worried about Volpe. It's early. They're all working out that stuff. Although, as I say, it's early. It's not early for Nestor. He needs to pick things up. He does. I'm sorry. I love Nestor, but he really does need to pick things up. And yes, as I said, the velo was low. His max on his four-seam was 92.7, which is almost 93. His minimum 87.4. And as I said, it was down 0.9 miles per hour. His yearly average on the four-seamer is 91.6. And he averaged 90.7 the other night. Yes, Hamilton is a bulldog. He could be the closer. I love that this guy basically came out of nowhere and he's just been unbelievable. He's done everything the Yankees ask him to do. You want to go in and throw 2 innings? Okay, I'll go throw 2 innings. You want to throw 3? Sure, I'll throw 3. And it's amazing that he's one of those guys who came out of nowhere and he's one of the best arms in the bullpen. He was steady last year. He's steady again. I don't get worried when I see Ian Hamilton come out of the bullpen. I'm actually excited when I see Ian Hamilton come out of the bullpen, which is nice. I think this is probably, we'll find this out. Joe Malone says, I think his shoulder issues are still lingering. Low velo guys with shoulder issues is a bad sign. Yes. Yeah. Obviously, any pitcher with a shoulder problem is a scary thing, but someone who doesn't throw hard like the rest of the guys who are throwing almost 10 miles an hour more than him, that's always a scary thing. CWE says, Holmes scares me when he pitches. Yeah, but again, that first inning, I don't blame him. I'm not going to blame him for that. I'll blame him for the second inning. As I said in segment 1, he did everything he needed to do in that first inning, got 5 ground balls, and plays weren't made. So, yeah, I'm not going to blame him for that. But it is, and I talked about this on the show. When did I say this? Last week, maybe? Or a couple of weeks ago? Mo spoiled us. He did. Mo spoiled us. We expect every closer to be lights out. And even Mo had times when he didn't close out perfectly. I was at a game where Adam Jones hit a home run off him. I was at a game where I believe it was Victor Martinez and Miguel Cabrera went back to back off Mo. And Brett Gardner had to hit a walk-off home run That was in 2013, if I'm not mistaken. August of 2013. Yes, it was the first weekend A-Rod came back after his hip surgery, and they were going to suspend him 200 games. And yeah, Mo gave up. They weren't back-to-back home runs. I think it was Cabrera hit one, then someone else got an out, and then Victor Martinez hit the game-tying home run in the top of the ninth, and then Gardner had to walk off. So, yeah. Oh, I didn't mean to hit that, but okay. So yeah, like I don't disagree about being worried with Holmes, but also I feel like we're spoiled. We've been spoiled by our previous closers, and that's not fair to the guys who close now. But as you all were saying, it's true. Ian Hamilton, you never know. He could, in a couple months, he could be the closer. Maybe it's a tandem, him and Ferguson, depending on how things are going. You never know. So coming up in segment 3, we'll talk about the rest of the series and guys hitting and guys not hitting. And let's talk about Verdugo. That's right. I have that in the rundown there. We got to talk about Verdugo. We have to talk about Soto. We have to talk about the influence that these guys have on the rest of the Yankees, because I think it's a lot of fun. Okay. Let's see. I will edit this out of the audio version. Okay, if you're looking for tickets for just about anything, check out Game Time. Game Time is the fastest and easiest way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and shows near you. Baseball in New York is here. It's here this weekend, and Game Time has deals on tickets right up to moments before the game starts and even an hour after it starts. It's the place to find last-minute seats, so if you decide to go to the home opener on Friday and it's 12:30, you can do that. I actually used Game Time to buy 2 tickets for a game next week against the Marlins, and I was actually shocked by how easy it is. You can also find exclusive flash deals and sponsored deals on tickets for basketball, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. So you can take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. For a limited time, all users can get $20 off any MLB purchase of $150 or more in the Game Time app with code FIRSTPITCH. Terms apply. That's FIRSTPITCH for $20 off from March 25th to April 14th only. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Let's try that again. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV in the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today, now available in the free Fire TV channels app. And again, remember, you can watch every pitch of the Yankees hometown broadcast with SiriusXM. Just download the SiriusXM app, search the word Yankees, and listen to John and Susan. Speaking of John and Susan, John was very excited on Verdugo's home run, if anyone heard the call. It was he seems very excited, and I feel like this might be John Sterling's last year, because he's getting up there. What is he, 84, 85? And he's just going all out with the home run calls. And he called Verdugo Alexander the Great. So how do we feel about Verdugo and the dog thing that's happening with the Yankees? He spoke about Soto after the Houston series and talking about how he has that dog in him. I noticed that when Stanton hit his home run in Houston, they were all barking at him. That seems to be a thing now that they're doing in the dugout, and it happened after Verdugo's home run. So what do we think about that? I like it. And someone in the comments the other day, because I asked about it on the show, said, I don't care if they meow at each other as long as they're winning. I feel the same way. Robbie Garnes asks, what's with us playing all these National League teams up front? Interleague play used to be novel. Now it's just annoying. Well, it's that spread out schedule. So, fewer games against your in-division rivals means more games against everyone else. So, that road trip at the end of May into June the West Coast, Yankees play the Padres, then they play the Angels, and then they play the Giants. So they're going from Southern California up to Northern California. That's just the way it goes. Yes. Okay. So here's something, and I will read this for the audio listeners. I say let him break out all the chains he wants. Okay. So something came out today, everyone. Aaron Boone apparently told Alex Verdugo that he can only wear one chain at a time. And I know everyone's going to say the Yankees are so stiff. They're so boring. And I agree, they are. They're boring. And yeah, but the fact that they're allowing him to wear at least one chain is fine because he normally wears like 2 or 3. I saw someone on Twitter, one of my friends on Twitter said that he should just change his chain every inning since he has so many of them. He has like 6 of them. So he can change every couple of innings and not have, a repeat in the bunch. I don't care if guys are wearing chains, as long as they're not hitting him in the face and as long as they're not distracting, like if they're in his jersey, who cares? It's so crazy. Like this team needs to be more fun. And they are. I feel like they are. They're having a lot more fun. I mean, obviously winning is more fun. The vibes felt off on Tuesday night. Nestor doesn't pitch that well. The offense doesn't do a lot. And, they end up losing 7-0 and you're thinking, oh boy. And then today it looked like it could have been bad, but it wasn't, thankfully. But yeah, the chain thing doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me at all. I mean, Stroman was wearing a grill in his mouth after his game on Saturday. Oh, also, did anyone else notice Stroman with the vintage? I can't believe I'm saying vintage Yankees t-shirt when it's from the 90s, but that's technically vintage. The one with all the caricatures on it. I thought that was really cool. I think I have one of the, maybe the 98 World Series t-shirts. I think I have one of them still somewhere in this mess of a room. I have to find it. I'm sure you could find something on eBay. They're probably a lot of money, but I think it's really cool that Stroman is so into being on the Yankees that he's wearing vintage Yankee t-shirts when he's on the bench. Oh, yeah. If Verdugo wants an idea to get the fun going, bring back AJ Burnett and Nick Swisher's shaving cream pies. I loved the pies. I mean, obviously, 2009 was a special year and they had so many walk-offs. What do they have? 17 regular season walk-offs. It would be fun. I think they'll probably think of something cool for walk-offs. I'm sure there will be one. There'll be at least one walk-off in Yankee Stadium this season. So I'm sure they'll come up with something cool and fun. But I just like the way this team looks right now. The fact that they were able to win 6 out of 7 games with Aaron Judge not really doing much until the last game of the season. That's amazing to me. And that's also a good sign that because the biggest problem with the Yankees is as Aaron Judge goes, the rest of the team goes. So in other circumstances, when Judge isn't hitting, Judge isn't playing, if he's injured, the team kind of falls down a hill. And during these 7 games, when he wasn't doing as much as you would want Aaron Judge to do, the team still found ways to win. So that's a good sign. That makes it feel different than 2023. So yes, we need to temper our expectations. 6-1 is nice, but it's a long season and anything can happen and there's going to be a lot of ups and downs. But right now they're on the upswing and it's a lot of fun to watch. And let's just have fun watching. Right? That's it. So before I go, I just want to see if there are any more comments. The Yankees with no beards, short hair make them look dapper. Beard growth makes players look like homeless guys. It depends on the beard. If it's like Charlie Blackmon of the Rockies and it's all stringy and long, that's not nice. But if it's a close cropped beard, I don't have a problem with that. I think the Yankees need to loosen up on that. That policy has been around. When did George Steinbrenner really kick that into gear? Because I don't think it was the first year that he was owner. I think it happened a couple of seasons in. So it's almost 50 years now that they've had that policy. And I think maybe they need to loosen it up a little bit. I agree. You don't want to see a guy who has a beard that looks like it could have birds' nests in it. But you got to let the guys express themselves in some way. It's just always funny when you see the guys who leave the Yankees, how quickly they grow a beard. Did any of you think Jordan Montgomery could grow a beard? Because I certainly didn't think he could. He didn't look like the type of guy who could grow a beard. And apparently it grew back in 2 seconds. So, right. And that's the other thing. This says beardless Andrew McCutchen looks like he's not good at baseball. Yeah. Yeah. Some guys just need to have the facial hair, you know? Anyway. So before I go, thank you for joining me for this live show. I didn't do as badly as I thought I was going to do. I didn't screw up the live reads too badly, which is my biggest fear, because just so you know, I'll pull the curtain back a little bit. When I'm doing this not live and I mess up the live reads, I'm usually cursing. So I didn't do that. I'm very proud of myself. So thank you for joining me for this live show. The Yankees look great. We have an off day tomorrow. And as for the schedule, tomorrow's show will be up in the afternoon because it's an off day. There's no game. So I hope to have it up by 1 p.m. And then Female Friday will go up its normal time, midnight, late Thursday night into early Friday. Get those questions in for me. I will put the pinned comment underneath this after we're done with it. And you can join the Insiders Club. That'll be a guarantee to get your question on the air. So yeah, leave your questions under the pinned comment, join the Insiders Club. There's a link in the description of the episode. And that is going to do it for this edition of Locked On Yankees. Again, thank you for joining me live. Let me know if you want to do this again. And my co-host is starting next week. So just so you know, Monday show, there's going to be 2 of us. It should be fun, and I'm looking forward to it. So thank you for watching. And I will see you all tomorrow.